Hello, it's me. So today is another discussion form video because there isn't really been much news at the moment. The next Pokemon set comes out in like a couple of weeks, pre-releases in like 2 weeks. Really been much news, there's been like a couple cards here and there. I prefer to do full set list reviews instead of just singular cards, unless the card is like particularly like ridiculously powerful or it's like a callback to a different card. We're not talking about that today, we are talking about theories kind of. While we've had the newest like mechanic for the game being introduced for next year, which is going to be partner Pokemon, trainer Pokemon, there is always a second mechanic that appears towards the end of the year. For example, with our current year, 2024, at the beginning we had A-Spec cards come back into the game, and towards the end of the year we are getting the Stellar Pokemon. Last year, with the start of the Scarlet and Violet era, we got the reintroduction of EX Pokemon, and then towards the end of the year we got Ancient and Future Pokemon. And then the year before that, I actually don't know, I think it was V-Stars, but that's basically how the structure of the game has been for the past couple of years. We get the main new mechanic of the year, and then another mechanic towards the end of the year. And with our next Pokemon game on the horizon, Pokemon Legends ZA, which we still don't have a release date for, all we know is it's going to release next year, 2025. Many people have been predicting that the next mechanic that will come into the game is Mega Evolution, since Mega Pokemon were the main aspect of the X and Y series. It's what brought them into the game. And with the release of the X and Y Pokemon set back in, it was 2014, 2013, around that time, it introduced Mega Pokemon into the game, which were a very unique take on Pokemon in general. So Mega Pokemon evolved from the EX version of the Pokemon. So for example, Manectric, you would have Manectric EX and then Mega Manectric EX. It would obviously work as, a standard evolution. However, there was a Mega Evolution rule on each Mega Pokemon that said when this Pokemon becomes a Mega Pokemon, your turn ends, which means that when you evolve your Manectric into Mega Manectric, your turn just ends right there and there. However, there was a tool card released for every Mega Pokemon called a Spirit Link, which says that when you evolve it into that Mega, as long as it's attached, your turn doesn't end. Bit of a weird mechanic that you need an item card to stop your turn from ending when you evolve into a Mega Pokemon, but I guess it was to not allow you to immediately just, fire off multiple Mega Pokemon. You have to attach the spirit thing and then evolve into it, and then you can start doing stuff. From the sounds of it, Mega Pokemon were going to be, the next big thing. They were going to take over the game. I am looking on Limitless right now at the best decks from 2014 to 2015, which was the first 2 years of the X and Y era, and I see a grand total of 5 Mega decks out of 23 decks, which tells me that Mega Pokemon just weren't as good as they were meant to be, or how the Pokemon Company wanted them to be. Now, that isn't the case for every Mega Pokemon, because there were some Mega Pokemon that I know were very, very powerful. Mega Manectric, as I just said, was very strong. Mega Rayquaza is a very strong card. You also had Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre. They were technically Mega Pokemon in a way, but they were just called Primals. They also had other unique traits. That was one thing about Mega Rayquaza and Primal Groudon and Kyogre, is that they had a evolution trait. Mega Rayquaza's was you can evolve it on top of your Rayquaza during your first turn. So if you had a Rayquaza on the bench, you could just immediately evolve it into Mega Rayquaza without needing to wait. Obviously your turn would still end, but if you had the Spirit Link, then it obviously wouldn't end. Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre had their own primal traits. Primal Kyogre's was, if you attach an energy from your hand to this Pokemon, you can attach 2 energy cards, so you can attach 2 energy to it every turn. And then Primal Groudon's was, whenever your opponent plays a trainer card, you prevent all effects of that card done to this Pokemon, which is an ability that many Pokemon just have in the game at the current moment. But those type of traits were only exclusive to those Pokemon because, I don't know, they just get the special treatment because they are legendaries. You also had another Mega Pokemon at the time. This was 2014 to 2015. You had Mega Gardevoir. There was 2 different Mega Gardevoirs. One of them was a dual type of Fairy and Psychic. Very interesting. Also a very powerful card. Now this begs the question, will Mega Pokemon return? Because obviously ZA is a Legend spin-off of Pokemon X and Y. And of course, Mega Pokemon were the main thing about X and Y, and in the trailer I believe it does show the Mega symbol. So Mega Pokemon are going to be coming back in Legends ZA, but will they come back into the TCG? In my opinion, I would think yes, because even though it's a spin-off game, Pokemon does tend to like release a series of sets dedicated to the spin-off game. Legends Arceus had an entire year's worth of sets dedicated to it because you had Brilliant Stars, I think that's what it was called. You had Astral Radiance, it had Origin Form Palkia, Origin Form Dialga. Basically had like all the trainers that are in Legends and all that kind of stuff, so it probably will happen. I mean, they had an Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire set for when X and Y was in its era. I don't think they had a Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl set because, well, it's basically the same thing as like Legends, so it's just like, oh yeah, Gen 4 Pokemon during the time of Sword and Shield. So, but how would they reintroduce a Mega Pokemon into the game, and how would they work is the main thing that's on people's minds, because Mega Pokemon were an evolution of EX Pokemon, and back then EX Pokemon were basic Pokemon. They were big basic Pokemon compared to EX Pokemon in our current game, which are also, there are some that are basics, but if it's an evolution line, it's obviously going to be an evolution EX. So for example, Manectric EX was just a basic EX Pokemon. You didn't need Electrike to then evolve into Manectric EX to then evolve into Mega Manectric EX. So that gives us the question of how would they reintroduce Mega Pokemon into the game? Would it be a 4th evolution for Stage 2 Pokemon? Or would it be exclusive to, maybe non-EX Pokemon? So it's like you have to have a non-EX Charizard to evolve into Mega Charizard. But I don't think it'll be that way. I think it'll just be evolve on top of the EX Pokemon, because that's how it worked. You couldn't evolve a Mega Manectric EX on top of a normal Manectric EX. It had to be Manectric EX. But it also gives the question of like, how will this impact the game? What Mega Pokemon will come back? In the first set, we'll probably get a bunch of the new ones that they introduce into the game, or like maybe some based on the starter selection, because the Legend games had 3 starters, but they were each from different generations. So we'll probably get, Mega Starters maybe start off with the new Mega Pokemon. So this could possibly mean we go even further beyond with like HP thresholds and damage numbers and stuff like that, and we end up having just gigantic evolution EX Pokemon. I'm pretty sure the highest HP EX Pokemon we have is about 350, I want to think. It's around that point. I'm pretty sure Charizard EX has 340 HP. No, it has 330, but even then that's still a lot. And then if you slap a Mega Evolution on top of that, how much would it increase it by? Like 30? So now you're talking 360, 370 HP. It's going to get a bit out of hand, which is why I think they're going to possibly change it in a different way. Again, they could make it so you evolve the Mega on top of a non-EX Pokemon. So you would have, just Charizard, and then you can evolve in Mega Charizard EX. But at the moment, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do it. That's if they do it. They could just, just decide, oh yeah, we're not doing Mega Evolutions. It wouldn't work well. You've got big Evolution EX Pokemon. Giving them a 3rd evolution, 4th evolution just wouldn't really work very well. They would basically have to go back to big basics, or only give the Mega Evolutions to basic EX Pokemon, which there isn't really a lot of aside from legendaries and Pokemon that don't evolve, like the Paradox Pokemon and stuff like that. They could make it a thing where it only lasts like a turn or something. It could act like the TM cards we've gotten, where, you know, you evolve it into a Mega and it becomes like super powerful, but it's only for that turn. Very similar to like the Mega rule that they had. They could have another Mega rule where it's you know, at the end of the turn, discard this card. Instead of when this Pokemon becomes a Mega Pokemon, your turn ends. They could do something like that. They could just give it like a really big restriction. They could make it a very powerful thing to evolve into, but give it a huge restriction, which I think would help balance it more, because you could use it more instead of using it as like the main aspect of your deck, like Mega Charizard deck, Mega Dragapult. If they make a Mega Dragapult, it's not a thing. That kind of thing. If they make Mega Charizard, instead of it being a Mega Charizard deck, it's kind of just like this add-on that could be like a game ender, or it could have like a really strong ability that could disrupt your opponent's like entire board, or it could, you know, help you accelerate and establish more board presence yourself. That's what I feel they're going to do. Or it might just have a really strong attack, like it could evolve into Mega Charizard and it has an attack that, you know, hits all EX Pokemon for like a lot of damage, but then it has the Mega Evolution rule that you discard it at the end of the turn. I think that would be the best play if they introduce Mega Pokemon back into the game, is to give it the Mega Evolution rule, but instead of your turn ending, you discard it at the end of your turn, like it's a one turn thing. You evolve, you Mega Evolve, and then you revert back. Or what they could do is give it a larger weakness. They could give it maybe 3 times a weakness if they're going to have a lot of HP. They could give it maybe 2.5 times weakness. They could give it multiple weaknesses, because you're basically going to be giving every deck that can Mega Evolve this really strong card to just slap on top of a already very strong card. It needs to have downsides. It needs to have restrictions. It needs to have weaknesses. Otherwise, it's just going to make the game very unfair and very one-sided. But overall, will Mega Pokemon return? I probably think they will, unless we just get another type of introduction, a random mechanic towards the end of the year. I think it'll be Mega Pokemon. That, or I don't know. I mean, we already have the trainer Pokemon. That's like the new like mechanic. We'll have to see how like that gets on, how that evolves, because it's only going to be around for like a while. Well, it's not going to be around for a while, but it's going to be around for the next year or so. But if they decide to bring Mega Pokemon back into the game, they need to apply some heavy restrictions to them. Because of how the game is currently. We don't have big basic EXs, we have evolution EXs. It needs to be more balanced in a way, because those evolution EXs are already very, very strong, and giving them a Pokemon that just makes them even more strong and more broken, I feel will just make the game very unfun and just very one-sided, very broken. So they need to apply a decent amount of restrictions to where the cards are still good and they are still useful to play, but they are not going to completely warp the game. But yeah, I can't really think of much else to say. I didn't really play around the X and Y era, so I don't have like a lot of history with Mega Pokemon. I'm just gone off of what I've heard from other people and from what I've done research about. So if you played during this time, let me know in the comments if you think Mega Pokemon will come back. How do you think they'll be reintroduced into the game? What Mega Pokemon are you hoping to come back, or what new Mega Pokemon are you hoping to see? I personally would like Mega Weavile or a Mega Dragapult, because I played Dragapult and Weavile is my favourite Pokemon, of course. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening to me talk, even if I had no idea what I was talking about. And I shall see you all in the next video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for future updates and videos. You can follow me over on Twitter. I like barely post on there anymore. I mainly post updates on my community page. On Twitter, I'm trying to use my YouTube Twitter more. We'll have to see, but I mainly post updates on my community page, so always check that out if you want to see what I'm getting up to, or if you want to see updates on videos or anything like that. But yeah, Thank you all for watching, thank you all for listening, and I'll see you in the next video, whichever one that may be. It'll probably be a set review video because I think Paradise Draconia, the full set list, comes out in a couple of weeks. But yeah, until then, take care.